What's up, you guys? Happy New Year's. Welcome to the Queen Experience. Hello, welcome 2021, the year of new opportunity and blessings to all. Y'all have already read the caption and y'all know what's going on today, so let's jump right up into the good, the bad, and the ugly and how I survived the Middle East. First off, let's just start with this recap. I came there in January 2017 and I stayed to December 2020, so almost a complete 4 years. So I just say I was there 4 years because it's just shot 1 month. Some of the highlights: Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and of course I did many other travels that you have seen on this channel. Today at the mosque. I haven't been to the mosque in 2 years. Out with Amber. Say hey, yeah. So now that we've seen all that, let's start talking about the good stuff first. I was really happy to be moving over there. I've never lived abroad. I was just really beginning to travel internationally, but I had never lived abroad. So this was my first living experience abroad, and I did enjoy it for the most part in the beginning because it's fresh, it's new, so of course you're like excited to be there. I did like some of the things culturally, how they are with family, how tight they are, how they have each other back, how the government has their back. It's just crazy because the way the government has their back, if our government had our back like that, and then how the government does have our back like that, in some ways it's always looked at as a handout or welfare or food stamps, whereas theirs is quite normal. If it's their people, if it's their land, their immoralities, they're taken care of regardless. They don't really have to work or any of those things. So I think for the most part, being around different people from all over the place was good, all over the world, because the UAE is comprised of mostly expats, people who are foreign to that country. You have Indian, African, Filipinos, and those are like the top 3 most people there. Then you have a lot of Westerners. Weird on a smaller scale, but you know, I did meet people from Ireland, from Scotland, from Ukraine, from Russia that I probably came in contact with, but not had a relationship the way I was able to have a relationship with those people because I was living there. And we, Intel was a neighborhood, we were a society. Those are the good things. Also the proximity to places like Africa that I wanted to visit, Southeast Asia and Russia. Proximity to those places were much closer, so that made for a good vibe. Learning different cultures, understanding Muslim, a big religion in the US. It's a religion, but Christian is the religion of the US. So you know some Muslims, but I never knew their religion in such a depth other than what I've researched that I learned over there, because that's the religion of their country. All of those things were great. All of those things were special. Now let's get down into what I did not like, what I seen is bad. This is gonna be a 2-part thing, y'all. First of all, one of the most things I hated or disliked the most was my job. I I worked at an American hospital that migrated to that country. That hospital, we have one still in America, but our hospital, for you that know, you know, it was a new hospital when I got over there. But the hospital, he said, it's a new hospital, it's a new hospital. It ain't that new no more. A lot of things should be set in stone, policies, and it's an American hospital, so it should be around Americanized, which we work off protocols and things like that. Y'all, this is the worst hospital I ever worked in my career being a respiratory therapist. And in my career, let me give you a rundown. I have been working as a therapist since 2013. Since 2013, I've worked at probably 8 to 10 hospitals because I worked 2 jobs concurrently, like at the same time. Because once I graduated, I was hungry, I was ready to get money. And then after I got the experience of 1 year within those hospitals, I went and started traveling. So I started going to different hospitals. I went to Georgia, I went to Texas. I had offers in other places, but then I ended up coming to this country 3 years later. So 3 years later, I moved here. So the first 3 years of my career was spent in the US in various hospitals around the US. Then when I got to this country, I worked at this hospital. Yeah, in those 3 years, there was such a minimum change. That's probably one of the biggest things. I know all y'all, the biggest questions is like, why would you move back to America, especially in the climate that we're in? And a lot of people just was like, excuse me, what? And I'm just like, everything that glitter isn't gold. Like, y'all see the fun stuff we do all the time, but as I'm gonna break down throughout this video, it was still things that I was over. And then also, it's not a place to truly grow career-wise. There are some people who grow in career-wise. Let me say that. And everything I say is based off the queen, Chris the Queen, my experience. And so with that being said, I didn't find it a place of growth. And we'll break down, I mean, in all types of work, social, I didn't find it a place of growth. It was never long-term in my mind. And then once I started trying to buy into the long-term, I realized, no, this is a journey. This isn't a forever thing for me. It can be for somebody. More kudos to them, more power to you, but it's a journey for me, you know. My job, like I said, was one of the biggest things I hated about the country. When I say it wasn't no growth, it wasn't that I couldn't move up. I've been asked to be a shift leader. I was a ICU core, ICU lead. I was on all these different teams and all of that. So it was room for me to grow, but all of that stuff was bogus. They'll make you a lead and then won't pay you extra money. Excuse me, you get paid extra in the US for taking on extra responsibilities. Over there, anything extra you do, you just doing the extra. Like, it's a title. I'm sorry, I work for money. I love taking care of patients. I love taking care of people, but I also have to feed myself. So no, I'm not gonna take on anything extra for not any extra pay. That was one thing. Then it was like, if you do get on all these little different projects, say you move into education, with the way the turnover is in that country and in that hospital, you may get moved into something and you may be loving it, thriving, then they snatch that whole job away. That has happened to so many people. Even with me with core, it happened to me. So it's like they create things, then they take it away. And these that aren't things that's like, oh, it was a bad creation. No, it's the things that we have set in stone in the US, in all of most of the hospitals already. It's something that they were trying to create, but they could never keep it again. One reason being for staffing. And then the protocol, there's no serious protocol. And I don't understand. People, like I said, it's a new hospital, they don't make any sense. If it's an American-based hospital, do the American way. There are already protocols in place. They're already tried and true ways to handle patients, handle difficulties. My job was just getting on my nerves, y'all. And then dealing with the people over there versus patients in the US. The patients in the US, they pretty much, you have some buttholes, but not like that, not like over there. And the families, the demanding, it's kind of like everybody catered to the people in that country. And when I say catered to, because there's nothing wrong being catered to, being appreciated, catered to in a way that it was a lot of butt kissing and a lot of things that the patients or even the family member did that were incorrect was just like whatever. There were no protection for the healthcare workers. If something happened, you're on your own. Luckily in my department, they kind of had our back for the most part, but otherwise you're on your own because of the fact that everything is just what the people of the country says. And that's no way to run anything, because why would a non-doctor be dictating what a doctor do? Why would a person who probably don't even have a 3rd grade education, let alone college degree, be telling me how to treat a patient? And when I mean treat, I mean medical treatment, not like attitude wise. So yeah, to sum it up, the job, I was over it. Was no protection. The policies frequently changed at the drop of a dime. That didn't even make sense. There was no real job security in place of moving up. So I was over that. The culture, it was nice. It's always good to learn someone else's culture and to see how they do. It's a lot of things that I agree with, and it's a lot of things I don't agree with, but who am I to tell these people about their culture? Nobody, because you can't tell me about my culture. You ain't finna say nothing about African American culture, but I will criticize my culture if it's incorrect, as I'm gonna do this culture. I won't say it's the culture, but just some of the things that I felt like wasn't right, like how I deem it badly, and I probably would be willing to fight someone who is speaking of someone or being mean and malice to somebody because they wear a hijab, or they wear a condor, or they wear a shayla. Like, no, like that's inappropriate, that's incorrect, that's wrong. So for me, I'll be pissed about that. But in turn, I feel like in their country, they did some of the same stuff. So now if somebody was to prosecute or do something to them in this country, it'll go over my head, because I've seen it done to other people in their country. So I had a friend, and she's shapely. You know, black women, we shapely. We follow all the rules when we go to the malls. Like if they say you need to wear something with sleeves, we wear it. If something needs to be a certain length, we wear it. So I have a friend, but we're still curvy. No matter what we wear, we're curvy. Not all black women, but most of us and most of my friends are curvy women. I had a friend that was like in the mall, and she had on a dress, and the dress was long. And one of the wives told the security that they wanted her out of the mall because of the fact that her husband was being distracted. Excuse me? Sus, you need to be talking to your husband, not my friend. And for security even come to my friend with that and actually ask her to leave the mall was just a mess. That happened with one of my friends. One of my other friends, the security guard told her she had to leave the mall because they could see her panties through her dress, and my friend told them, oh, you see my panties? And she said, yeah. And she said, that doesn't make sense because I don't have no any panties. And asked them, did they want to see it? So it's just like stuff like that. Like, ain't nobody got time for that. Mind your business. You wear your kador, your shayla, your hijab, and ain't nobody over here telling you to take that off your head. Don't be over here telling people they gotta wear a dress that's 20 times bigger than what they wear just to appease you, when we're already trying to make sure we wearing the proper attire. So it was like stuff like that I didn't agree with. And I had an incident like that at like an IKEA store. But what I found out too, and what I realized too, staying there, sometimes it would be the locals, it'll be their peasants. It'll be like the people who working for them. They want to appeal to the culture so bad to stay in their country. They'll be prosecuting people for no reason. Like the lady, like I was saying at IKEA, she was a Stockholder syndrome type flunky that was working at the door, and she was saying that I couldn't wear, and I had on, y'all, like I had just worked out. I had on workout tights with a long shirt on, but you know how them shirts have this part like maybe a little wide or open. You couldn't see none of my bra. I had on a sports bra, so it's fully covering everything up under it. And she was like, you can't be in here, you can't come in here like that. So me, y'all know I don't back down to nothing, cause it's just why. Security came over there to me and was just like, I don't see anything that she has on is wrong. Literally told me in the business that he was like, but if someone says something about it, ma'am, while you're in the store, or if someone, you know, mentions it, then I'm gonna have to ask you to leave us up. Okay, fair enough. I went in there to IKEA, got everything I need to got with no friction. But again, she's trained so mentally and so mentally subdued to try to please the people. Yeah. That's some of the stuff I didn't like as far as like the culture. And then also listen to the sad stories from some of the women and some of the people who live there. Like, I can't say what's right or what's wrong, but I do know that there is some difficulties. That's neither here or there for me to say. There are some difficulties from select groups of the country. Some of it is okay with it, and some of them, but it's just like even in the US. So that's why I won't speak on it so heavily. I'm just talking about the things that did kind of get on my nerves. That's like some of the main things. And then I would say just the society. In the society, I mean like, okay, you dealing with all these people. Most of the people there, they there for money. I would say most of the people that's non-European Philippines, because we there because we want to experience, or we just want to go somewhere different, or again for travel. And this is just a general consistency of working around Midwesterners and being around them of all demographics and backgrounds. And then you got people from the UK or Ireland, they just tired of rain all the time and they want sunshine, or they don't pay as much as the US pay. Canadians too, they don't pay as much as the US, you know, situation, so they there. Or it's always cold, so they want to be somewhere where they can get seasons or at least summertime weather. So outside of them, the rest of the people, and then we get paid virtually more than we was getting paid in our country, or some were the same. A lot of these people over there come from countries where they can't just go back to their country and get a job and get paid a certain amount, so they pay them more. But it's also a thing over there called passportism. You know how we have racism and it's rampant in the US? Passportism is rampant in that country, in the Middle East. You can do the same work I do, but I'm from the US, so I'm gonna get paid this amount of money. And since this person for the Philippines, they gonna get paid this amount of money, which is probably significantly lower than me. Maybe more than what they're making in the country, but it's significantly lower than me. I don't find it correct or the right way to handle things. But hey, if you accept it and you like it, hey, oh well. I didn't even accept what they was offering me as a therapist coming from the US because it wasn't correct. It wasn't what I expected, and it wasn't what I was gonna accept. So I continue to argue back and forth with them about it. But I got choices. I'm back in the US because it's a free country. I come back home whenever I get ready, and I have just as many opportunities here and more that I did there. But when you coming from certain places and some of the countries aren't thriving or don't have jobs and stuff or making a lot of money, you going there because you need the money. So they there most of the time because they need the money, and they're trying to put their families in better positions, pay off their housing, put their kids through school, get them a better education, and all that stuff is good and is well. But a lot of them are miserable, especially the taxi drivers. The taxi drivers, I feel like, are probably the most miserable people there because of the fact they aren't treated well at all. And it's sad, and I feel for them because like some of them, they stay in 5 guys to 1 room. They work terribly long hours. It's not the best compensation, but they're compensated okayly. Let me just say there's a lot of issues that goes on with the taxi drivers. And in turn, they become your issues as the consumer. Taxi is one of the main ways of getting around in that country. So as a consumer, you dealing with them in their bad attitude. You dealing with them not really knowing where they going and just telling you they know where they going because they need the money so bad. You gotta stay awake and make sure they awake because they so tired. Sometimes they driving so long and so much that they like falling asleep at the wheel. So that was the issue. You dealing with them type of workers. Then you dealing with people who understand language barriers. Language barrier is my least thing that I will say that I hated, because what I learned about language barriers and what I seen with language barriers is language is only one way to communicate. When I used to deal with some of my moms and babas in the hospital that I love, that were good people, I had a mama kept trying to tell me to cut off the light, right? In her language. And at that time, I didn't understand how to say cut off the light in Arabic. So she got up, she pointed saying, you know, close, bam, I get what she's saying. It's ways to communicate beyond just language. That was one of the things that I kind of learned and saw. Not that I didn't know that, but it just improved my intellect on how to communicate. So language barrier wasn't the worst part, but the worst part is I'm telling you something, speaking it, and you telling me you understand. But you don't understand, now I gotta cuss you out because you ain't doing what I asked you to do, or what I'm trying to buy for you, you give me the wrong thing. And that was so rampant there. They would do it so constantly because of the fact that it's like, we need to make this purchase, we need you to buy this. You know what I'm saying? It's a rat race in a sense. It was just frustrating when you trying to tell somebody something and then they say they understand. Fair enough, you don't understand. We could try to communicate a different way. But if you telling me you understand, but you not doing it, and then now I'm frustrated, I gotta cuss you out, or we gotta go back and forth, it's because you just ain't being honest with just saying, I don't know. And that happen a lot in the hospital, which is very dangerous. Like, these people need to take an English test. They be coming to the hospital saying they know how to speak English, but they don't understand English. Just because you can say some some English words don't mean you understand English. I am considerate to the language barrier. I am considerate to English is your first language. I will slow down because I speak fast. That's something I know about myself. I will slow down. I will walk you through what I'm trying to say 100 times, but don't tell me you understand something you don't. That was getting on my nerves so bad because it's so hard when you trying to get anything done. And then just business wise over the period, them people so slow. Like, you know how we complain about people that don't have common sense in America? It's another level. It's just as simple as going to Taco Bell, right? Let me tell you how simple things be. With my Taco Bell, instead of having fries, let's just throw it there, I want macaroni with the side. The side's the same side. Oh no, man, we can't do that. Excuse me? Huh? It's the same. It's the same. You gotta escalate all the way up to the top of the manager to say, oh yeah, it's the same. For them to not even think, the manager to say, oh yeah, it's the same price, just give it to them. You would have to stand there like an hour to get that done. I'm telling you, it be the simplest of stuff. And after a while, like, in the beginning, I just taught it up to, oh, okay, maybe they just don't. No. After 4 years, it's starting to be like, like at first I used to excuse or be like, okay, but then like in year 4, I'm cussing people slap out, and that wasn't good for me because that's not who I want to be. I don't want to walk around angry all the time. I don't want to walk around with doom in my mind because I know this ain't gonna go right. Like, who wants to live like that? I was just over it. It was getting on my nerves, and I was just over it. It was just time for me to go. When it's your time, it's your time. We say that all the time over there. Like, it was some other things that didn't sit right with my spirit, like how some of the people were being treated. So I'm from the hood. I'm from America, and I'm from more of a hood or suburban area. Let me say that. And maybe this do go on in like Beverly Hills and stuff. I'm not used to seeing people with nannies, grown women nannies and stuff like that. I don't think anything wrong with them nannies, but I think it's the way you treat them. So maybe in Castle Blasted or other places, you may see this type of stuff or how they treat them, but I've never been abreast or seen people get treated so terribly in my face that were workers. Like, and I ain't talking about just cussing them out, I'm talking about hitting them. Some of them nanny women are pretty much being abused. And I don't have a reason to lie about this stuff. I'm not gonna get on my channel and lie. Like, you can see right here in some of these articles and stuff of the stuff that's been put out, or how these people make people work for 7 days a week without a break, how they be taking their passports, how they be abusing them, the men sexual abusing. It's just too much. That stuff was eating away at me too. Now let's be clear, because for the sake of a lot of people like do all these comparisons, like I know before I was leaving, I was dealing with a lot of weird people that wanted to always try to compare the US to the UAE when I would say something that I don't like about the UAE, which doesn't make sense, because I would drag the US right now, especially about African Americans and just about how do we do stuff. But the US stuff isn't heating. The whole wide world know how trash the US is and how trash it can be on certain things. So let's be clear, the UAE is acting like a picture of health and like it's nothing going on and like nothing ever happens there. That's what I did not like. It was like a big facade, and it was horrific to see it, and it bothered me because I have a heart and I'm not just a person that only cares about self. I'm empathetic, I'm sympathetic to the way people are being treated. So yeah, I used to feel some kind of way about the people, how people being treated. Well, some people like, oh, they ain't gonna do me, I'm minding my business. That's true, we all should mind our business, but it's not gonna stop me from speaking about it or for me being real about it being one of the things I disliked and was ugly to see. That's dead on it. You going out and these women literally walking like these, can't give you eye contact, you speak to them, they shy away because of the fact that they're being beaten or being mistreated or being taught to be like this. It's like modern day slavery. I guess if you pay people a little bit of money and like live with you, it ain't considered slavery, but yo, whatever, it kind of was. So with that type of stuff, all that just mixed in one, I was just over it. But stay tuned for part 2. We're gonna get into the social culture, dating culture, and all of that, because all of that stuff was a mess too, and y'all know I got the tea. I'm gonna give my greatest takeaways and tips for anybody who feel like they want to live there anyway. I'm not telling you don't experience it or don't do it or don't live there. That's not what I would tell anybody, because it's money to be made and it's a good time to save. You know, y'all know my accomplishments. I'm debt free. I don't even work right now. I ain't got to work. So you know what I'm saying? I took a lot of amazing trips. I made a lot of money. You do have the good, but you also have the bad, and that's the point of these. So that's it for this week of the Queen Experience, and I'll see y'all next week for part 2. Peace.